This is very confusing for the Rams. A breakdown of the Rams' win over the Bears that leaves fans with some more questions than answers heading into this NFC Championship game matchup versus the Seahawks, and how some things from the Bears game translate into the Seahawks game. All that and more on this episode of Rams Digest. Before we get into all the news today, this video is brought to you by Kalshi. When you download Kalshi using the link in the description and enter code DIGESTNFL, you'll get $20 when you trade your first 100. Kalshi is the largest prediction market in the United States, and on their platform, you can trade yes or no on real-life events, including sports, news, elections, and anything you can think of. And best of all, whether you're in California, Texas, or any other U.S. state, Kalshi is live in all 50 states, and on their platform, any trade you make is on a regulated platform, and you can cash out at any time. And for Rams fans, there's so much to trade for on Kalshi, including game odds where the Rams are heavy favorites at 63% chance. I do have the Rams winning this game in Chicago, as well as point spreads and over-unders, where I have Indiana winning the college football championship, but by under 7.5. But I do think over 48.5 points will be scored, as well as player props for both touchdowns and yards. I have Colston Loveland and Kyren Williams for a touchdown at any time in this upcoming game versus the Bears, as well as award odds. And you already know for MVP, I got my boy Matthew Stafford. And for futures, like who will play in the Super Bowl this season, I have now the Rams and Bills. Unfortunately, my original pick of Rams-Jaguars is not possible anymore, but this is also a new and fun way for sports fans to test their sports knowledge by trading on Kalshi. And remember to use the link down below in the description to download Kalshi. And when you do, enter code DIGESTNFL to get $20 when you trade your first 100. Thank you very much to Kalshi once again for sponsoring this video. Now, let's get back to the news. Welcome back to another episode of Rams Digest. I'm your host, Joshua Finehirsh. And before we head into today's video, make sure to hit that like button for the Rams getting into the NFC Championship game here this Sunday. Our next stream going to be around the same time, 3:25 p.m. this Sunday, the 25th. Like this video for that. And like this video for the Rams to win the Super Bowl, as well as like for yourselves. 65,000 total views on our last stream. Our peak was nearly 2,000 concurrent live viewers at one time. So Josh and I just want to say thank you so much for that. That is by far the largest anything to do with Rams Digest. And for all of the new people who are here, welcome to potentially your first long-form video from us. I hope you do enjoy it and stick around for more. But once again, thank you so much to all of you. Without you, none of this is possible. We don't have this channel. We don't have people caring what we say without you. So just want to thank you for that. But now we got to get into today's video, trying to answer some questions from this last Rams game from Ramblin' Fan that we're going to get into right now. And it's more so winners and losers as well as some questions. We're going to start off with the losers, then go to the winners. Loser 1, the Rams pass rush, MIA. This was a game in which defensive coordinator Chris Shula had to realize that a secondary would struggle at times. But rather than signs that the pass rush understood how important it is, it was to keep Bears quarterback Caleb Williams on his heels. The team did not get a single sack on the day. The secondary showed up big, but the admirable pass rush was truly missing in action. It was. Again, they had multiple QB hits as a team. If we look right now at this handy-dandy box score that I got here, if you look at, QB hits, the Rams did have 4 total QB hits, but they were unable to get any sacks on Caleb Williams. And Josh and I kept talking about it. You got to finish the play. You got to keep him in the pocket. Because when he gets out of the pocket, you're not going to sack him. He's either going to throw it away. He may make a bad decision like he did a couple times against us. Or he's going to make an amazing play either throwing the ball, or he's going to gain some yardage with his legs, which he definitely did a great job of in the second half. Now against the Seahawks, you're not going to have to worry about Sam Darnold really rushing the ball. So it is a bit of a different quarterback game plan that you are going to have going against you. But still, you want that pass rush to be better. You're going up against another good offensive line there in Seattle, so you definitely want that pass rush to be better heading into this NFC Championship game. And the second loser is offensive play calling. Veteran quarterback Matthew Stafford did not appear to have much of a chance of finishing the game at one point. He completed less than 50% of his passes, was sacked 4 times for a loss of 29 yards, and seemed to have trouble throwing the football. Did his injured throwing hand give him trouble in the cold? In any case, the Rams didn't seem to consider running the football until late in the game. a more even distribution of runs and passes throughout the game would have made this an entirely different type of game. And I fully agree. Josh and I kept talking about it. They come out in the second half, pass, punt. And Sean McVay, I know Josh talked about this a lot yesterday, so if you missed that video after mine, go back and watch it. He talked about what Sean McVay said, which was about how he kind of had some bad play calling in there. And I agree, and I do like that Sean McVay took accountability, because that, some of you sometimes are a bit too harsh on McVay, in my opinion, but for that game, even Josh and I were like, yeah, this is not great play calling there from Sean McVay. He admits that. I expect him to be better in Seattle. He got to Seattle. And if you look at it, too, Kyren Williams had 21 carries for 87 yards and 2 touchdowns with a 4.1 average yards per carry. Blake Corum only 6 carries for 19 yards. Again, the goal was to split the carries up. They've done a better job of that. Blake Corum against Seattle hasn't been great, so I do hope they can get him involved a little more. Puka had some rushes. They even tried to run with Jordan Whittington, which was a bad decision there. But overall, I don't expect this to continue into Seattle, but it definitely was interesting to see how much the cold, I do believe, affected this game in a way we didn't think it would, in terms of them running less rather than throwing less. And did his injured throwing hand give him trouble in the cold? I'm sure it did a tiny bit, just because, being in the cold, you don't have as much movement in your body as a whole when it gets colder out. So maybe it did. I mean, my guess is it did a little bit. I highly doubt he was 100%. I would definitely say it was at least 70% healthy in that game, in that throwing hand. But I do believe it gave him some trouble, but I don't think it was the sole reason why he was missing some of his throws. And the next loser was the run defense. While the team did not surrender 150-plus rushing yards to a single running back, the run defense seemed unmotivated and sluggish. The Bears averaged 144.5 rushing yards per game and put up 160 rushing yards against LA. A struggling pass rush could have been rationalized if the defense managed to shut down the Bears on the ground, but it didn't really do that either. No, it shut down the Bears in the pass game, which we will get to a little later in the winner section, but I also agree with this. Again, if we look at the Bears overall, this article is correct that it wasn't really runner. DeAndre Swift had 19 for 76, 4 yards a carry. Caleb Williams, 5 for 40 for 8. That was a big one for us. Kyle Monangai, 13 for 36, 2.8. You really were able to shut down Kyle Monangai there in the run game. In the pass game, he actually did some damage as well. But for the run game, I do think the Rams did a great job zeroing in on Kyle Monangai. But again, we know how Ben Johnson coaches. He did this in Detroit with Gibbs and Montgomery. Obviously, Swift and Monangai right now are not the players Gibbs and Montgomery are. I do think both of them can be better than Montgomery, and none of them are going to be better than Jimmy or Gibbs, obviously. But overall, Seattle as well, they are without Zach Charbonnet. I know Josh mentioned that in his last video yesterday as well. Zach Charbonnet done for the playoffs with a knee injury, unfortunately. So you're going to be relying on George Holani a lot as a second-string running back there in Seattle. Kenneth Walker torched us in the second meeting for a couple of long touchdowns. He looked great against San Fran, although that defense was so injured, unfortunately. So this run defense is going to have to come to play. I don't want to see George Holani next week going off for big carries. If Kenneth Walker gets one big run on us, okay, it's Kenneth Walker. He's a good player. But you really got to zero in on those plays, because you want to try to get George Holani in there as much as possible, a guy who's not necessarily as experienced. And this rush defense, I think, can help with that. The tackling wasn't the issue with the runners. The Rams actually did a pretty good job tackling in this game. It was more so the fact that the Bears kept getting 4.5, 5 yards a carry. That's kind of how it added up to that 150 plus 160 yard total. And the last loser is, where did Davante Adams and Puka Nacua sneak off to? The team rode the coattails of wide receiver Puka Nacua and Davante Adams to get to the playoffs, but neither player was particularly productive as a receiver in this one. The duo combined for just 7 of 16 passes for 80 yards. Nacua did better 1 week earlier on his own. Yeah, he really did, and it didn't really make sense to me again with the game planning. What was the game plan here? Kobe Parkinson had the most yards on the team, tied with Puka. Parkinson obviously 3 for 56. Nacua had 5 for 56 on 10 targets. Again, the targets to catch ratio. Some of those throws from Stafford were off target as well. I do think that is important to add that Matthew Stafford was missing some throws here and there, so that definitely added to it. And for Davante, against the Panthers, and now here, 2 games where Davante hasn't really been brought back in the way we thought he would, especially in the red zone. We didn't really see the Rams going to him much. I get not going to him in this game when it's a bit colder. You want to run the ball. Kyren was very effective in the red zone, but again, against the Panthers was nowhere to be found. And we're going to need Davante in order to make the Super Bowl and beat whoever you play. I know the Broncos have Jarrett Stidham, but if they manage to beat the Patriots, that defense is no joke. And you can't take the Broncos lightly just because of that defense. You obviously can't take the Patriots lightly with how they've been playing, and you can't take the Seahawks lightly because they're the number 1 seed. The last time you played them, you just gave up a big lead last time you were in their house at Lumen Field. So it's going to be a tough game, and you need Puka and Davante, by the way. Had 2 for 24 on 6 targets. Again, 2 catches on only 6 targets. A couple times Stafford and Davante didn't look on the same page once again like they did in the regular season. And elite players have to find ways to show up in big games, but neither star receiver twinkled in this one. No, they didn't. And part of it was play calling, I think, but also part of it, Matthew Stafford was more so kind of off target than on target in this game. Played clean football, which is good. I'd much rather have this than, one of those 3 interception games where it may not be the best, but at the end of the day, you play clean football, you make the throws when you have to. Davante showed up when he needed it most on that overtime drive, making a clutch catch, made another clutch catch in the 4th quarter, holding on to the ball just long enough to make that a catch. So, again, I do expect both players to have good games against Seattle. I do think Sean McVay is going to dial up some better plays. I think Mike LaFleur as well. And Stafford's going to be a little bit healthier going into that game as well. So those are some of the main questions we have about the Rams, as well as Jared Verse. I mean, it almost looked like he forgot we were playing a playoff game. I really don't want to be too hard on him because I do like Jared Verse, but there were just a lot of times. He had 3 total tackles. He did have 2 quarterback hits, so he did get back there, but there were a couple times where we also didn't finish the sack like we were talking about. But we also have some key wins from this game to get into as well, also from Ramblin' Fan that we're going to get into right now. And the first winner was Cam Crow's timely interception. If you're an NFL defensive back, few plays are as rewarding as an overtime interception to stop the opposing offense. That was exactly what Cam Crow did in overtime for this one, and it set the stage for the offense to redeem itself somewhat. Yes, it did. Cam Crow was awesome. I talked about it in my short that I posted a little bit ago. If you missed it after this video, go back. Cam Crow, 13 total tackles, a quarterback hit, 2 passes defensed, and an interception. Cam Crow, one of the players of the game for the Rams. He was absolutely awesome. He was not the reason why the run defense was bad or the defense overall didn't have the best game in some areas. He was absolutely awesome. That was probably his best game as a Ram, and it came at a key time. Obviously, Caleb missed through the ball, but it was a missed throw, but still, Cam Crow to die for that ball, not an easy catch. He's able to hang on to it, survive the ground, and make a key play. He was making big plays all night. Cam Crow, we're going to need that energy against Seattle, because I don't know who we're going to be putting on JSN. Emmanuel Forbes left that game with a shoulder injury, so we got to wait and see on his status. So it's going to definitely be interesting to see who we put on JSN, and Cam Crow is going to be a guy that could potentially do that because he was awesome against the Bears. Again, best game as a Ram. I hope he got one of the game balls because he definitely deserves it from this Rams team. And winner 2 was wide receiver Jordan Whittington. While wide receiver Jordan Whittington only caught a pair of passes thrown his way for 35 yards, he was the lone bright spot for an otherwise lackluster performance from LA's wide receivers. While a minor contribution, Whittington provided evidence that his quarterback was fine. That could lead to fans to wonder what happened to the stars of this offense. Yeah, Jordan Whittington did have a good game, all things considered. Had a nice special teams game as well, making some key plays. That's where I said his return would be key in special teams. The Rams overall had a pretty good special teams game in this one. And yeah, Jordan Whittington again was 2 for 2 on targets thrown his way. The run play, I'm not going to put on him. That was a bad play design. Nothing Jordan Whittington could really do. Making key blocks as well on that. I want to see what he can do in the conference championship game. Josh and I were both high on Jordan Whittington coming into the year as a guy who can maybe step up to be that wide receiver 3. The Rams haven't really had a wide receiver, a clear, okay, this is our third guy. It's kind of been the group as a whole, which is fine because Puka and Davante are so good, you can kind of get away with having a group right now, especially when the group is all playing at a high level like Jordan Whittington was in this game. Again, against Seattle, this defense, you're going to need guys who you don't normally throw to step up. It's the playoffs. Guys like Puka and Davante, you're going to game plan for. Jordan Whittington, maybe guys, Seattle, Mike McDonald, they don't overlook, but they don't necessarily have a coverage package for him, and I think he could be a key part of the game plan heading into Seattle. And winner number 3 was Kobe Durant's 2 interceptions. Cornerback Kobe Durant, also known by fans as the Land Shark, was a dynamo in this one. It was clear that he was out to prove the critics wrong, and he did exactly that. His first interception stopped the Bears' offensive drive and allowed the offense to put up the game's first touchdown. His second interception stopped another Bears rally. Yeah, both of his interceptions, the first one came at the goal line when the Bears were driving downfield to start the game. They have the big play to DJ Moore in the first play, and then all of a sudden, they're almost at the red zone, and then they go for it on 4th down, the classic Ben Johnson, and then they end up throwing an interception, Caleb Williams does, for the Bears there. And the other one was another amazing play from Kobe Durant. And again, if we look at Kobe Durant and his total stats, he had 3 passes defensed and 2 total tackles, but 2 interceptions as well. Year 4 guy coming up big. He should have gotten the game ball as well with Cam Crow. I mean, both of these guys were just absolutely awesome. And again, Kobe Durant going to need to kind of be roaming the field a little bit. We're also going to need a guy to shadow Cooper Kupp. Kupp looks pretty good against the 49ers. His former team in an NFC Championship game. You're telling me Clint Kubiak and that offense there in Seattle, Sam Darnold, Cali guy, Orange County guy. You're telling me he's not like, I have a chance to beat, kind of my hometown team, Cooper Kupp, beat my former team, who the last time they were in this position I was on, and Cooper Kupp having a chance to be a key player to send us home? We're going to need someone who knows Cooper Kupp's tendencies. Kobe Durant played with him for a couple of years. I could definitely see a guy like Kobe Durant being on Cooper Kupp, and Kupp as well not being the biggest guy in the world. Wouldn't be a terrible matchup for Kobe Durant. And the last winner was Harrison Mevis for the game winner. UFL kicker Harrison Mevis was not even on a team in September. He did not join the Rams roster until November 2025, but he was in Horns in January 2026 and kicked the field goal to send the team to the NFC Championship game. Yes, he did. Also, a round of applause real quick for Harrison Mevis. Awesome performance this playoffs in terms of kicking the ball. Obviously, the block punt against the Panthers, not on him whatsoever. However, the last time the Rams were at Lumen Field, he missed a key field goal in regulation that would have given the Rams a 3-point lead late in that game. Instead, he go to overtime. Again, Rams still score a touchdown where he makes the extra point. Defense got to hold on there. But still, Harrison Mevis, the last field goal he kicked at Lumen Field was that field goal in the fourth quarter that he missed. So it is definitely something to keep an eye on as to whether that will impact him or not. I don't think it will. I think Harrison Mevis has gotten the jitters out of his system fully, the playoff jitters as well. I am not nearly as concerned about Harrison Mevis as I was coming in. Still don't like it from, 50 plus yards, but anything within 50 yards, I do feel confident he can make. And it was a great win, but if you are a fan who sought answers about this team, you likely have more questions than ever. Still, 2 down means only 2 more to go, and as always, thank you for reading. Yeah, that's really the way to look at it. Josh and I say it all the time on stream. Just win. You just gotta win the game. Again, you want things to be better, especially the pass rush, the run defense. You want to see better play calling, which I do think all of that can be true, especially against Seattle, when the Rams have a very good history against Sam Darnold in terms of making him throw interceptions as well as getting sacks on him. Again, the Seattle O-line a lot better than what he had in Minnesota, so it is going to be tougher, but I can definitely see that happening for Sam Darnold and this Rams defense coming up this weekend. And comment down right now, what is your biggest question about this team? To me, I think it's the pass rush, because against the Panthers it looked good. Against the Bears, you got back there, but you didn't finish plays. Again, a guy like Sam Darnold, not as mobile. I do think the pass rush can step up, and you're going to need to hurry up Sam Darnold, because that's how he gets those turnovers and interceptions. So comment down below your biggest question and your biggest winner. To me, it's Kobe Durant having a huge bounce-back game. But comment down below what you think right now. And that is all for this episode of Rams Digest. Remember, make sure to like the video right now if you want the Rams to win the Super Bowl and win this week, and for them even being in the playoffs still this week. Like this video for yourselves as well. Thank you once again to the amazing support. 65,000 views is unfathomable to Josh and I, so thank you so much. Once again, without you, this wouldn't be possible. Comment down below your thoughts on the biggest question for the Rams heading into this game, as well as the biggest win/thing you're most confident about heading in. I've already said mine. I've been your host, Joshua Finehirsh, as always. Thank you very much for watching another episode of Rams Digest. I hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you soon for another one, and have a great rest of your day.